action.
Hello everyone, welcome to my plant-based kitchen. I thought the theme today should be Latin as well as Mediterranean food. So I have a couple of things here for you. I really actually wanted to show you how to make my all-time favorite soup. My name is Chris. I am a diabetes nurse practitioner, and I'm also very passionate about good food, and that's good healthy food. So what I want to show you here today first is how to make tortilla soup. And you can make it whichever way you want, but I'm going to show you what I actually do. So come over here, I'm going to show you what I had done here. In plant-based cooking, you want the full flavor of the ingredients that you have. So what I did here is I roasted all of these vegetables ahead of time, and I know that you can notice some of the charring in here. That is completely fine. It's gonna add flavor to our soup. The other thing that we're gonna put in the blender here is about 2 tablespoons of tomato paste, and this chipotle pepper here is gonna add the smokiness as well into our soup. Instead of doing fresh garlic, because I'm going into more caramelization and bolder flavors, what I had done is actually I'm gonna use this caramelized garlic here. We know that salt, sugar, and vinegar are flavor enhancers, and I've learned that from Thomas Keller on Masterclass. So I have a little bit of maple syrup here. We're gonna add a little bit of that in there, and this is apple cider vinegar that we're gonna put in here. Now it won't be tortilla soup without the chips here, so we're gonna put that all in the blender, and let me show you. Starting with the onion here, because we don't want this clogging up later on. We're gonna position all of these. These are the tomatoes, which is so good for us. And then what I did is I roasted the carrots whole. I did not roast this with any type of oil. And so you do not have any oil in here. Most of the oil that we're gonna get is most likely gonna be from our chips. Let me just move this away and start with our spoon. So I'm gonna put in all the mushrooms in here. Mushrooms are really good. It adds umami flavor into whatever you're making. So that's the reason why I always put a little bit of mushrooms in my cooking. And then lastly, the peppers here. Yum. Okay, so I think we got all of that down. We put that away. And then we're gonna make sure that if you don't want it very salty, that your chipotle pepper, you take out the seeds from there. And this one, apparently doesn't have seeds in them already. So I'm gonna just put that in here. And then we're gonna put the garlic. I love garlic in my soup. So we have all of that in there. We're not gonna put all of this sugar in here, just a tiny bit, just to kind of like bring that flavor up. And then this is apple cider vinegar. It could be very strong if you put a lot, so we're just gonna pour just a tiny bit. Okay, very good here. Close that up. And it won't be tortilla soup without tortilla. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna put some tortillas, and you can just crunch them in here. Now, oftentimes in some Mexican cooking, you will see that they use like uncooked tortillas. You can do that as well. I'm not using any type of oil in this soup, so we're gonna get the oil from from the chips here. We're gonna put most of this in here, except for a few that I'm gonna leave that we're gonna use to top the soup later on. Okay, here we go. There. Put that away. We're gonna use that later. And then this is homemade vegetable broth. We're gonna put that in here so we can blend this. Yeah, I can smell that already, and that smells amazing. Okay, we'll blend this. This should take about less than a minute. Perfect. I think that was only about less than 30 seconds. So I'm going to put that back in here. We are going to pour this into the pot here. So come over here with me. Before we do this, I'm gonna show you what kind of flavors I actually put into the stock. So this is our vegetable stock that's been simmering now for about a couple of hours. We're gonna put, this is about 2 tablespoons of paprika. Let me just grab my teaspoon on here. And it's been sitting right next to the stove, so it's kind of stuck in there. And this one is chili powder, and it's about 1/4 of a cup of chili powder. I'll put that all in there. This one here has 3 different spices. This is ground coriander, this is cumin, and just a tiny, like 1/8 of a teaspoon of ginger powder. And that is not really typical of Latin cooking, I don't think, but you know, you could tell me that later on. But I like adding ginger into my cooking, and with a little amount you can't really taste that in there, but then you get the nutrition. Now this is completely optional. This is nutritional yeast, and this one right here is flaxseed, so it helps thicken our soup, and it also has a lot of fiber and B complex vitamins. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna stir this because I don't want my spices to be in clumps. So that's what I tend to do. And then we're gonna bring the heat on this one up because we have some cold ingredients here that we're gonna add. Okay, that is starting to really smell good. I'm gonna put it up on high. What I like in tortilla soup is really corn. And so I'm putting in about 2 cups of corn in there. And I also want to make sure that it's packed with fiber, so I'm going to put some red beans in here. Now you can use black beans, you can use pinto beans, whatever beans that you like. Now to get that texture of like chicken that's been pulled apart and like after simmering it gets really soft, I'm using jackfruit here that I've cooked and boiled for about an hour, and then I mashed it with a potato masher to get this consistency. So we're going to put all of that in there, and that's about a can of green jackfruit that you can buy in Asian stores, or you can get it from Trader Joe's now as well. Okay, I'm gonna put that all together there, and we're gonna stir it because we're gonna bring this into a boil in just a bit here. You can see that it's starting to really come together. Now, tortilla soup is one of those soups that if you eat it the next day and the next day, it actually keeps, you know, absorbing all of that flavor, so it actually is tastier the next day. Now, this is a lot of soup because I'm giving it away to my family members, so bear with me. This is not an average you know, amount for like a family of 4. But if you really like tortilla soup, you could make it this amount, and then you could freeze some, you know, in the freezer, and then you can have that the next week as well. I like to do my batch cooking on the weekend, and so when I get busy with work, even here at home, I don't have to take so much time to put it together. I just assemble. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Oh, this is really good already. Now, you've noticed I didn't add any salt in here. I actually really flavored my vegetable broth already, and so that's the reason why I don't need to add a whole lot of salt. But of course, before you serve it to your family or your guests and your friends, make sure that it has enough flavor in there. Okay, we're gonna leave this alone for just a little bit because we're gonna simmer that so the flavors can mix up together, and I'm gonna show you how to assemble that. Let's come over here. Okay, now that we're done with that, I'm gonna move some of these things here. I want to show you what I had done this week. My father-in-law has a garden in the backyard, and he gave me a lot of radish, and I didn't know what to do with them. So I looked up a recipe for a radish salad, and this was really easy. I put this in the food processor and actually got them to this consistency. Put a little bit of lemon juice, a tiny bit of agave, a little salt, and I put parsley in them, and I stir them together. It's really nice, refreshing salad. So you can do that too, and it's really nice on a summer day. Okay, let's move over to what we have here. We're gonna switch over to Mediterranean. What I have here is my mother-in-law's favorite, as well as my mom. All of the herbs here are actually from my mom's backyard. We're gonna make tabouli. And so to make tabouli, what you do is you take bulgur wheat And bulgur wheat is quite available in the stores right now because people, when they did panic buying, they just bought white rice. And so when I went to the store, there was no white rice whatsoever, but I saw a lot of bulgur wheat. And bulgur, I mean, everything is in here. Come closer, I'm gonna show you what I had done here. Bulgur, it has the husk in there. It has, it's not been cleaned out, right? And so it has a ton of fiber. In fact, it has 8 grams of fiber per serving. So what you do with this one is really easy. You take a cup of bulgur wheat, you put it, you wash it, you put it in a bowl, and you pour hot water over it, put a lid on it, and let it soak for about 30 minutes, drain it, and it comes to this consistency right here. This is ready to eat. Now the herbs here are actually a mixture of about 2 cups of parsley, about a cup of green onions, about less than a cup of mint that's in here, and all of those herbs are from my mom's backyard. She grows a really nice herb garden. So to assemble tabouli, it's really easy. What you do is you're gonna add a little bit of lemon juice in here, and I've already prepped this so it fits here perfectly. So a juice of 1 lemon. Here we go. And there's really nothing like fresh lemons. And this lemon is actually also from my mom's backyard. She has a lot of plants. She loves gardening. Okay, and I'm gonna give her some of this tabouli salad today as well, so she can actually taste the assembled fruits of her garden. Here we go. And vegetables and herbs from her backyard. There we go. Now, whenever it's like an organic lemon, she doesn't use pesticides at all in her cooking. I try to use most parts of the plant. And so the other thing I have here is I zested the same lemon, and I'm gonna add that in here because it adds a little bit of essence into your salad that just makes it slightly different. And then lastly, we're gonna put a little bit of salt. Now, I'm gonna put about 3 of these, and that should equal about close to a teaspoon. And this is a lot of salad, by the way. There. Close this up. I'm gonna show you what it looks like when you assemble it. So can you see that? It's like an herb salad. It's just so wonderful. And like I said, it's really yummy. The tomatoes here, I de-seeded it. So take off the seeds because you don't want the seeds on here. It gets very juicy and gets very soggy. So I just took off the seeds, but I left most of the tomatoes in there, and then I chopped it really, really fine because I want it to be as small as the rest of the herbs and the bulgur wheat. So you want this to really mix well. And if you put it in the refrigerator for just a little bit, you give it time to rest, and then the flavors are gonna combine very well. Okay, so we're gonna stop right there. And this is really wonderful to eat. Okay, I'm gonna mix this some more later. Okay, the other thing here is, this is from my father-in-law's backyard. He has the Philippine lime, which we call calamansi. And my nephew loves calamansi juice. And so I made this juice, yeah, so didn't spend that much money on this one. But I did mix it up with a little bit of monk fruit sugar, you know, that sugar-free sweetener that we have that's made from monk fruit. So it's a monk fruit sugar. And I put a tiny bit of agave, and I'm gonna drop this off at their house later on. And second to the last here, this is a Turkish dish that I have tasted in one of the cafes here in Southern California, and it's called bulgur pilaf. And I love bulgur anyway. I like the texture, and it has a lot of fiber, and it's so yummy. So pretty much when you make this, it's really like making almost like paella. So you saute tomatoes, onions, garlic with paprika and chili powder, and then you just bring that into a simmer. You add your bulgur wheat, and you stir that in. And the ratio for this is actually 1 cup of bulgur wheat to about 1.5 cups of water, because you do have liquids as well in the tomatoes that you've pureed. And so you just stir all of that together, you put a lid on it, and you cook it for about 20 minutes, and then turn that off. You let it rest for about another 10 minutes, and you mix it up, and you have this. And the salt in this one is really just Himalayan salt. Okay, now that we've done all that, before we close today, you can see that we have this soup here, and it's simmering really nice. This is gonna simmer for another 30 minutes for me because I really, really want all of those flavors to combine. But you can see that the soup is still rather, you know, on the thin side. It will get thicker as it simmers for the next 30 minutes. But I just want to show you how you can assemble this. So we're gonna get about a cup of the soup here. Here we go. And if it's too thin for you, you can add more vegetables in there and make it really hearty. But I like it this way. Here we go. And this is so yummy. I'm just gonna crunch this up just a little bit more. You pour that on top, and voila. This is the hubby's lunch today. Thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate you hanging out with me as I show you some of the things that I make in the kitchen that I absolutely love. Until next time, happy Sabbath and God bless you all.